Hello ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Aisha. I'm a certified trauma-informed coach, and I am on a mission to help 1 million women become their most confident and successful selves with the use of law of assumption. Today's video is a little bit different, as you've seen by the title, and that is because I am giving you a taste of the videos to come on my Confidence Club premium subscription. You can find this under my channel memberships here on YouTube, and I have heard some reports on YouTube before that Apple users have an increased price in the subscription, but it is a $19.99 dollar subscription. So if the price is different from that, I recommend you sign up on a computer or tablet or an Android device if you have that available to you, because you do not need to be paying extra due to Apple's fees and surcharges. But anyways, let's get into today's video. On my Confidence Club Premium channel, I share different methods and techniques that either I have developed or I have learned from coaches and mentors alike. I'm also really excited to do a Neville Goddard series this year. It is going to take me some time because I will need a quiet moment to be able to read the lines that I've highlighted through the books, but basically I'm going to be decoding Neville for those of you who either don't want to read the books or you've read some of it or heard his lectures and just don't understand it. And I've already started the work of highlighting my favorite parts of each of his books so that we can get really deep into the nitty-gritty of exactly what Neville was saying and what he means and all of that good stuff. So today's video specifically, I'm going to be teaching you a method of sorts. It incorporates different techniques and principles of manifestation, but in a way where it's easy to remember. And the purpose of this, what I call soap and water method, is to check yourself, to assess yourself, to make sure, are you actually manifesting correctly? Are you on track? It is a self-evaluation tool. I decided to come up with this because I noticed a lot of my coaching clients are coming to me and they're struggling with a lot of the same things, as well as I'm seeing the comments on my videos, and in particular, which videos get more views and more engagement tend to be ones that are related to these topics. So I figured, why not condense this into something that is easily digestible and easy to remember, because that's the key thing, is in times of distress, you don't want to have to overthink it. You want to just be able to have it click and remember easily. As I get into this video, you will see the screen change, and hopefully I time this correctly in edit, to the acronym SOAP, S-O-A-P, and WATER, W-A-T-E-R. And you are welcome to screenshot this. Obviously, do not share it because this is of my own creation. This is copyrighted as my mental property. However, please screenshot it, keep it on your phone, print it out, whatever you got to do to really integrate these principles into your day-to-day life on a consistent basis, okay? Now, let's go ahead and get into it. So, think of this soap and water method. Why do we use soap and water? We use it to cleanse. So this is like cleansing your old manifestation habit, your old consciousness, and restarting with intentionality. So SOAP stands for self-concept, observation, accountability, and pedestalization. So again, these concepts are like the biggest reasons why people are failing to manifest. So this is a troubleshooting tool. First and foremost, we have self-concept. What are you believing about yourself? What are you believing about a specific person? Doesn't have to be a specific romantic partnership, can be a friend, neighbor, coworker, family member, etc. And what are you believing about the world? I know right now with the news and the craziness in America, a lot of people are having a lot of ideas about America and the world and all of that. That's included in your self-concept. Whether you believe that a war is going to happen, not going to happen, whether you believe a certain law is good or bad, whether you are living in fear due to your environment, either your actual physical environment or the political environment, in, your part of the world, that is included in your self-concept as well. On top of that, your self-concept is what you believe to be true about yourself, and this includes, do you believe that you deserve your circumstances, or do you believe you deserve better than your circumstances? Do you believe you deserve to be treated the way you're being treated? And if not, you need to become aware of that to change that. So we are going to always start with self-concept, because everything is self-concept. Everything that you believe and understand about the world is contained under the umbrella of self-concept. So that's going to be the first thing you evaluate. The next thing you evaluate is observation, and this is checking yourself, checking your environment, checking your mental diet, checking your behavior, and just being observant. If you are not self-aware, you are not going to be able to identify your self-concept. And if you can't identify your self-concept, none of the rest of this acronym even matters. So if you believe that, I know my self-concept, I know my problems, I know my limiting beliefs, yada, yada, and I'm working on it and I'm doing the things, but I'm still not manifesting, well, maybe you're not being as observant as you think you are. Maybe you need to spend a couple of days with a pen and paper or the notes app on your phone or device and write down some of the thoughts you're having. Like, write down what you're thinking about the world. Write down the comments you make about your body. Write down when you notice yourself internally having, tightness or a physical visceral response around somebody. Write all that information down, right? That's part of the observation process. And then at the end of the day, or at the end of the couple of days that you do this, you're going to assess, what does this mean? Now that I've observed my behaviors and my beliefs, what does this mean? What do I have to do about it to change the concept that I'm carrying of myself? Then the next thing is accountability. So maybe you understand your self-concept, you've been very observant, you know what your beliefs are, you know what's going on in your head, but you still find yourself blaming others. This could be blaming the economy for your financial situation. This could be, blaming what your parents keep in the house for you not being able to lose weight, in terms of they're not buying healthy groceries or whatever. And you're blaming them for that. Or this could be in relationships, if you guys are constantly having fights and you're just continuously blaming them without taking accountability for your own actions. Now, okay, yes, if Susie stole the cookies, we're not really blaming Susie for stealing the cookies because we saw her steal the cookies, okay? That's not what I'm talking about in terms of accountability. I'm saying if you want Susie to stop stealing cookies, you have to see Susie as someone who doesn't steal cookies. Because again, it all comes back to your self-concept. Sorry if there's any Susies listening to, that's just the first name that came to mind. So it's okay if there's unsavory things that this specific person in your life is doing. You are not trying to erase their accountability by taking your own accountability. But taking radical accountability in manifestation, in law of assumption, means no matter what you, Susie, are doing in my 3D, I'm going to change you from within. I'm going to take the accountability back on me and say, you know what, if I just see Susie as an honest person, as a kind person who always does the right thing, Susie will stop stealing, right? And that's the idea that I want you to come back to always, is it's okay to point out when somebody in your reality does something unsavory. But you still always have the power and the choice to turn it back to you and say, but I get to revise them in my mind, and I know that by revising them in my mind, they must reflect that in my reality at some point. Next, we have pedestalization. And this is a huge one for a specific person. This is a huge one for large sums of money and goals that we deem as really big. We put this goal on a pedestal. We put it above us. We put it so far above us that it feels so far away that it feels like it is a mountain to climb to get there. I know that I did this with my weight loss for a long time before I discovered manifestation, conscious manifestation. And losing weight was always hard. Like I said, it felt like I was climbing a mountain. It felt like not only was I climbing a mountain. Sorry for the little background chatter. Not only was I climbing a mountain, but the mountain seemed to keep getting bigger and bigger as I was climbing it. And at some point I'm like, okay, what the heck? What am I doing wrong? I don't get it. I don't know why this goal seems so insurmountable. And obviously it came back to my self-concept. I had to be very observant of my beliefs and the things I was saying in my head and talking to other people about. And I had to take accountability. And all of those things made me realize, oh, I'm making this goal bigger than me. But that's not the right way to manifest. You are bigger than any desire. No matter how big the desire seems, you and the God part of you specifically, the part of you that is tapped into this consciousness we've been given, to this exercise of free will that we've been given, to this powerfulness that we have innately been given as human beings, is your power to put yourself above any desire, any manifestation, any physical possession, any experience, anything like that. You are the one on the pedestal. You are above the desire itself. This doesn't mean that you're above other people. I really think a lot of people misconstrue pedestalization, especially as it comes to specific people. Some people want to see themselves as better than a specific person, and that doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't seem necessary to have that opinion and belief, so I just don't do that. Instead, I put myself above the desire to have the specific person. I'm the one who decides how I'm wanting things. I decide when I want it and when I no longer want it. Therefore, that makes me automatically bigger than the desire itself. So take the desire off the pedestal, put yourself on the throne, and you will start to see your manifestation as something easy and simple. And if you didn't catch that, throne is actually a reference to the first video I'm going to be posting on the Confidence Club Premium membership. I call it the throne method. This is something that I myself have come up with. It's basically a way to see yourself as the queen and to tell your reality what to do because you're the queen and you sit on the throne. So I would highly appreciate if you subscribe to the Confidence Club Premium membership to check that video out. It's going to be so good. It's so rich. It is so easy. And I'm really excited about it. So now we've covered soap. And, that's the thing is like, it's not enough to just use the soap. We also have to rinse with water. We can soap up our hands all we want, but if we're ignoring water, we're really not doing the job of getting ourselves clean. And this goes the same for our mental diet and our process of manifestation. Are we using the water? Are we wavering? Wavering means being double-minded, being doubtful, being fearful. Are we confident in our desire and our ability to get our desire, which goes back to self-concept, obviously. So the acronym WATER is all about assessing our behaviors and our focus. And whereas like soap is more about like the actual steps, the process of eliminating where in our approach are we going wrong. I hope I described that correctly. I did not make any notes for this video. I am just stream of consciousness as usual. But basically you want to start with the soap and you want to assess the bigger blocks before you move on to water. So again, wavering. Are you being double-minded? Are you saying in 1 minute, SP loves me, SP adores me, and in another minute, SP's a jerk, SP ghosted me again? Are you feeling fear and doubt and letting the fear and doubt stick to you? Are you ruminating? Are you having mental arguments with people? Are you totally confident from the time you wake up, but then as soon as somebody in your 3D says a remark about your body, you start to shrivel up and your self-confidence is completely gone, and now you're in like insecurity and all of that anxiety and negative feelings. Like a lot of the people who come to me for coaching, they will say things like, it was going so good with SP, and then. And I will always ask them, okay, so what happened during that part and then? Or, most of the time they even tell on themselves. They'll say, it was going so good and then I started doubting. It was going so good and then I lost confidence. It was going so good and then we had an argument. And then all of the things that precede that phrase are why you still don't have your manifestation, because you are wavering. Next up is affirmations. And the reason that affirmations are the most important method is because every thought is an affirmation. Every time you think and you have mental conversations and you're enforcing beliefs that you have, those are affirmations. So we cannot not use affirmations. Like, we don't really have a choice. Every time you say, even like, let's say I ate a piece of chocolate cake and I say to myself, this is good, I am affirming to myself the goodness of that cake. Like, it's literally that ingrained in our human experience. So we cannot separate ourselves from affirmations. And because of that, it's so important to use the correct affirmations. Now, I'm not going to tell you specifically what works or doesn't work for you without having a conversation with you, having coaching with you, and understanding, your own beliefs, where you're at, your own self-concept, your circumstances, etc. So let me use myself as an example. If I use affirmations from, Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy or Dolores Cannon or Louise Hay that are outdated, they're just not going to make sense to me. I find them too wordy and I find them to be really burdensome to use, so I end up not using them. I get really lazy with them. Whereas if I write my own affirmations, I'm much more likely to use them. The other thing that I want to get really clear, and I could do and might even actually, because this would be a really, really good idea, note to self, it would be a really good idea for me to do a whole video on this, because it's so crucial to affirm for the end, because you can affirm he loves me, he loves me, he loves me all day long, but he could love you and still not be texting you. He could love you and still not be taking you on dates. He could love you and still not be apologizing if that's what you want, an apology. He could love you and still not marry you. He could love you and still not ask you to move in with him. He could love you and still not be committed to you. Right? So just because you're affirming he loves me, he loves me, he loves me, that does not signify, that does not represent, that does not paint a visual picture or an emotional picture of what living in the end is. So if the end goal is to be married, for example, affirming he loves me is not really going to manifest him marrying you. Does that make sense? Like, yes, it might make you feel good. Yes, it might improve your relationships. Yes, you can definitely still use that affirmation alongside the affirmation of we're married now, or I'm so glad we're married now, or isn't it wonderful that we're getting married? You really have to understand what you're meaning when you're saying these affirmations, because he loves me is basically an empty affirmation if what your real goal is to move in, or to have him propose, or for him to take you on more dates. Like, those affirmations are mutually exclusive. I know for one example, like, even in my mom's relationship, the man that she's with today, she loved him for many years, but was not in a relationship for many years. But I know that she loved him, and she always says, I always loved him. I always knew that he loved me, and all of that. So it's a perfect example of how these people were not affirming that they're in a relationship, but they were still affirming that they loved each other. Now, thankfully, they're happy and in a relationship, and good for them. But obviously what changed is their self-concept and what they were focusing on. So make sure that you write affirmations that describe your actual end goal, okay? Same goes for, let me just give one more example, because again, I can do a whole masterclass on this, super important. But let's give another quick example. I could affirm I'm so healthy, I'm so healthy, I'm so healthy all the time, and still not make my weight loss goal, because I can be healthy at 160 pounds. I can be completely healthy. I can feel healthy. I can look healthy. My body can be moving in a healthy way. I can go to the doctor and all of my blood work and all of my, testing is healthy and still be 160 pounds. But if my goal is to get down to 140 pounds, the affirmation "I'm so healthy" is not living in the end. It's not getting me to that goal. I hope that painted the picture for you. So let's move on to timing. Now, this affirmation, this part of the acronym is because some of you are so obsessed with the timing. All of your energy is going to thinking about the timing, trying to manifest the timing, worrying about the timing, stressing about the timing, that all of that energy is being taken away from actually living in the end. So if you're freaked out about the timing, and I know sometimes, yes, we can face dire circumstances where timing matters. Some of my clients are, in their 30s, 40s, and they still want to have children naturally. And as women, we've been conditioned by society to believe that, oh, you have to have kids before you're 30 or your eggs expire and you have a geriatric pregnancy. However, there are many women that have been blessed by the Most High who get pregnant naturally in their 40s and have healthy babies, healthy births, and all of that. So they just had the belief that it was fine. They had the belief that I don't have to worry about the timing. And I actually have a family member who had a surprise pregnancy in her later years, and that baby came out happy and healthy as well. So, our beliefs are so freaking powerful that rather than using your power to obsess over the timing it's taking, we've been dating for, a year and he hasn't asked me to marry him yet or whatever, you're focused on the timing instead of on the end goal. He's marrying you now. He's proposing today, okay? Or if you've been waiting for, you've been waiting for a promotion or a call from an agency that you are trying to be hired at, and you're like, oh my gosh, I submitted my application over a week ago and I haven't heard back from them. Well, what are you focusing on? You're telling yourself, oh, it's been over a week and they still haven't called me yet. Therefore, what you're really focusing on is, they still haven't called me yet. They still haven't called me yet. They still haven't called me yet. So take your focus away from the time and shift it to the end of, they called me. I got the job. I got the interview. They love me. Of course they want to hire me. I'm so happy in my new job. I love my new job at X company. I love working for boss's name here. You have to really understand, and this is why, again, the acronym SOAP matters so much, is you have to be observant. You have to know, you have to be aware of yourself. What are you actually doing, saying to yourself and others? What are your inner conversations like? You have to check yourself. So that is what this whole method is for. Soap and water is to cleanse yourself of all of your old bad manifestation habits so you can reinstill some new solid ones. The next letter in our acronym WATER is efforting, and this is when you are forcing the 3D. You are applying to 200 plus jobs. You are making a resume for every single job. You are just obsessed with, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? Just tell me what I have to do and I'm going to do it. This is mass texting your specific person. I'm talking paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and babes, I am so guilty of this. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I did this just this year to somebody in my 3D. So I am not infallible when it comes to this, but when you are trying to force in the 3D, you are subconsciously communicating to yourself that you don't have what you want because you have to force it. You're trying, you're efforting. Manifestation should feel effortless because it should feel good. And have you ever noticed when you're doing something fun, it just feels good? It feels effortless. You're not even really thinking about it. I have one example of this. I really love to do art. And last year for Valentine's Day, I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, but I like to feel the mood of love. And who doesn't like an excuse to be in a loving mood, right? So last year I drew a picture of my specific person, and I just had this random inspiration to do it. I just felt in my heart, I want to draw you. And so it was like maybe 7 p.m. I don't even know what time in the evening, but I started to draw him, and I just worked on it until I got too tired that night. And then the next morning I finished it, and I totaled the time it took me about 8 hours to draw it. And it didn't even feel like it took me that long. Like, I was just so invested in, like, I'm having so much fun drawing this person. I haven't drawn a person in a long time. I love being artistic, creative. It felt so fun. I didn't feel like I put any effort into it, but to be fair, drawing for 8 hours is quite a bit of effort. That's 8 hours of effort. That's 8 hours of skill and practicing and, expressing my creativity. Like, that's not nothing. That's not for nothing. So efforting refers to forced effort. It refers to like being a tryhard, like trying so hard to force things. If any of you work out in the gym and lift weights, or even runners, that if you push yourself past your limit, right? We want to create resistance that allows us to grow our muscles and increase our endurance and, work on our balance and stability. But if you push too far, if you put too much effort, if you try to force the gains or force the improvement, you will injure yourself. Like 100% you will injure yourself. And people injure themselves all the time trying to achieve these health goals. And that's because they're putting too much effort into it. Instead of listening to themselves, pacing themselves, taking it as what feels natural, and knowing and trusting that it's coming, that you will reach your goal eventually as long as you're consistent. And the last, and I would argue most important of the acronym WATER, possibly the most important out of the entire acronym SOAP and WATER, is reactivity. Are you reacting to the 3D? And again, this is another one I am so guilty of. I am such a crybaby. I am an emotional person. I'm a highly sensitive person, and I love that I am that way. I have no problem with it. I've experienced a full range of emotions very deeply, very vividly. It creates a very magical experience here on this planet because to the extent I experience sadness and grief and anger, I also experience joy and curiosity and awe, bewilderment, all of the good and emotions that they really make this life. You know what I mean? They make this life worth living. Like, I would not want to be a less emotional person. I love how deeply I feel my emotions. So I am also totally guilty of being reactive to the 3D. But reactivity is the biggest way to shoot yourself in the foot, simply because it's a waste of your time. It is a waste of your energy. All the time that you spend reacting to the circumstances, you are programming into your brain that the circumstances are bigger than you. That goes back to pedestalization. That you are not in control. That goes back to accountability. That you are not being observant, but instead just focusing on your inner experience and being absorbed in that emotion. You're not actually observing the situation from an objective standpoint, and you're not improving your self-concept when you're being reactive. So reactivity is extremely harmful to your progress because, again, every minute you spend reacting to the 3D, you are giving away your power. You have the power to consciously create your reality. But when you react, you are giving reality the power to create your experience moment to moment. Don't give away the keys to your car and then be in the backseat complaining that the car's not driving where you want it to go because somebody else is driving you around. If you want your life to go to the destination that you have selected, you need to be in the driver's seat. This means if you do have a reaction to the 3D, turn it into a response. If the 3D makes you cry, turn it into, you know what? I needed a good cry. My body needed to release this stress. I needed to have this experience to learn from it. I needed to have this experience to become a better person, to recognize that I'm only human, to evolve and take my manifestation to the next level. Maybe you needed a bad day to motivate you to double down. Like, there were times that, like, when I was still going to the gym and working out outside my home, that I would have a really bad day in the gym, you know, whether it was the timing of my cycle, or I just didn't get enough sleep, or I wasn't eating enough, whatever caused me to have a bad day at the gym. Like, I would really be reactive and be like, man, I hate this. I'm so upset that I didn't have a good pump today. I didn't have a good experience at the gym today. And then I would talk myself down, and I'd say, well, what if I just needed a rest day? What if my body was just communicating to me that it needs more sleep, or it needs more water, or it needs, more nutrients that I'm not getting in my food? What if this is a blessing? What if this too is the best possible thing that could happen for me? What if it's happening for me and not happening to me? And when you can change yourself from the moment of reactivity to a response and say, okay, now that I'm seeing this in the best possible way, how can I respond to the situation? So this looks like, after I threw my little pity party at the gym, I decided, okay, I'm going to cut my workout early. I'm going to make sure I hydrate and drink enough water. I'm going to take a multivitamin if I haven't already taken it. I'm going to go eat some very nutrient-rich foods, and I'm going to take a good nap, right? And then guess what? The next day, I feel amazing, and it works every time. So even if you have been reactive to the 3D circumstances, even if you reacted to your specific person being a jerk to you, even if you reacted to, maybe you lost your job and you started freaking out, how am I going to get another one? Even though, like, a week ago you were saying how much you hate that job and how much you want a different job. Like, understand that your manifestations are going to unfold in the best way possible. And you don't get to decide what the best way possible is, because, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one deciding that for you. God is deciding that for you. And that is the most beautiful thing. I personally don't want to have that job. I don't want God's job. I want my job. My job is to just be me, do me, trust God, and do my best, okay? And I feel very happy and satisfied with that workload. I would not want to have more on my plate than I already do. So if I'm not trusting, if I am not putting my full faith, if I'm not exercising tawakkul, like, I'm taking part of God's job on me, instead of giving it to him and saying, Allah, I trust you. I trust you with my life. I trust you with my resources. I trust you with, my emotional well-being, my physical well-being. I trust you with it all. And whatever you're doing right now in the 3D, I know it is for my benefit. I know it is helping me become a better person. I know I am headed in the right direction. And the more you can live there, right? The more you can live in that trusting place, you stop reacting, like being reactive. You stop being emotionally reactive. You stop being so easily triggered, because you're just like, all right, cool. I'm at peace. This is cool too. Hey, this is cool too. And I know not every circumstance can be like that. Obviously, if you go to the doctor and they tell you, like, you're going to die in a month, I'd probably be freaking out too, okay? Or if, you just totaled your car, right? Like, I've done that a couple times. One year a moving truck hit me, and then the next year I hit a car. So back-to-back years, I had cars being totaled, and it's not fun. I did react, but almost immediately after having a reaction, I was like, you know what? This is fine. This is fine. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be, because it's not me who's deciding whether or not I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always putting me exactly where I'm supposed to be. And the more I trust that, and whether you believe in, God, universe, source, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, I love manifesting with Kimberly. She's like moonbeams, if you want to credit moonbeams with the power of this great consciousness that puts everything in alignment in the world, that's fine. I know who I credit. But, again, like, the more that I credit God and put my faith in God, the less reactive I have to be. I just trust even this, some way, somehow, even this is working out for me. Some way, somehow, even this fight I'm having with this person is for my best. Some way, somehow, even this president that I may not like or love or whatever, personally, I think they all suck. Even this president is the best president for me. Even this debt is somehow working in my favor. Even this injury is somehow working in my favor. Like, I swear to you, and yeah, you got to be a little bit delusional in this, but I've had so many examples of this being true, being the case, that I can't live any other way. Which actually reminds me of a story, and I do want to end this before 40 minutes, so I'll try to be really quick with it. But basically, I think it's like this Chinese, like, folk tale or whatever about how a guy, breaks his leg before a big horse race, and so he can't do the race or something. But then it turns out that, like, the next week, there's a war going on, and the military comes to collect his son to, like, be drafted into the war. And the dad's like, he can't go, he just broke his leg, he's no good to you. So he doesn't end up getting drafted into the war, and then it turns out, like, everybody who went to go fight that battle died. So, like, what's worse, dying or a broken leg, right? Like, basically the idea is that even though in the moment the broken leg seemed detrimental to him, and I'm sure wasn't a pleasant experience, it ended up saving his life. So, I've had so many personal examples of this. Like, you never know what you're being saved from by a negative circumstance. So never take it as a negative circumstance. Always take it as, this is what's best, and I trust that. Because, again, God is omniscient, which means he, like, sees and knows. Like, I don't have access to all the knowledge of the world at all times. That's how I know that I myself am not all of God. I'm a piece of God, right? You don't have to know to trust that he knows. You don't have to know that it's best for you to trust that he knows that it's best for you. You just have to trust. And that takes so much weight off your shoulders, and that makes manifestation effortless, and it makes it more fun, and it makes this life easier and better to experience. So, as usual, I intend that today's video was incredibly helpful for you, that it inspired you to, really get your manifestation method, techniques, and mental diet and practices in check. And you can always come back to this acronym to revise how you're behaving, how you're moving through life. Are you really on top of your manifestation? Or, is there an area that you need to improve on so that you can get back on track? Just as a reminder, I will be doing more in-depth videos like this on my Confidence Club Premium membership, so hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon to be notified when I post, and be sure to sign up for the Confidence Club Premium membership. I would love to have you in the Confidence Club. I would love to continue creating more of these cool videos where we really dive deep, and this is basically a masterclass. I would normally sell this as a masterclass for upwards of $20. So for $19.99, you are getting a steal of a deal to subscribe to the Confidence Club Premium membership, and you're not only getting this one video, or, like videos like this, but you're getting tons of other videos on top of that, including the Mindset to Manifest podcast, which is just an additional podcast where we talk about more topics related to spirituality and manifestation. So there's always value, and every month I post new videos, so every month the value is being added. But anyways, as I mentioned, I want to keep this under 40 minutes, so I will sign off now and just thank everybody for participating, everybody for watching my videos, subscribing to my channel, being a part of this Who Is She community. I am so passionate about helping women become their most confident and successful selves that this is literally a dream come true for me. So thank you, bless you, I love you, have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!